It can be tough to keep up with government, but it makes it easier when representatives like Judy Warnock gives us an update from Olympia.
Hello, my name is Judy Warnock, District 13 representative. Thank you for joining me for my weekly update. Last Friday, there were two important events that happened here in Olympia. The first was the Governor's Prayer Breakfast. It's always a very well-attended event, and last Friday was no different. It was great to hear from Governor Inslee about his family values, and also from former Ambassador Tony Hall as the keynote speaker. So it was a great way to start out the 1st of March and the Friday of last week. Another event that happened was a little disappointing to me, and that was the Supreme Court ruling. It was a split ruling that changed the law about our 2/3 requirement for tax votes. In my district, in the 13th district, 73% of you voted to support the 2/3 requirement. I'm supporting a resolution to amend our state's constitution to put in permanent law that a requirement of 2/3 is needed to protect our taxpayers for any vote that we as a legislature would take to raise taxes. Unfortunately, I don't think the Democrats are going to support this constitutional amendment. And so I'm afraid we may see some tax increases in the future, but I'll fight hard to protect your hard-earned dollars. In the next 2 weeks, the House and the Senate are voting on bills. We spent last night, Monday night, until about 7 o'clock, and we expect every night this week to work a little bit later. I'm hoping for a vote on the Horse Park Authority bill. This bill would expand the Horse Park Authority to 11 members. And also, my beekeepers bill moved forward this last week out of the Finance Committee. It will extend a small tax exemption that the beekeepers realize, but we also opened a wider discussion on colony collapse disorder. Bees, believe it or not, are very, very important to the agricultural community in the whole state. So I'm looking forward to further discussion on beekeepers and the needs for beekeepers in the future. In conclusion, I'd like to thank you for joining me, and please contact me anytime you have an issue or just want to talk at the numbers below on the screen. Thank you.
Most government news this week has been about federal spending and how it's impacting us here in the Columbia Basin. Here's a story about government spending that could add some perspective about our federal government.
It is a dispiriting symbol of American waste in Iraq. Years after the U.S. finished building it, this wastewater treatment plant in the former al-Qaeda stronghold of Fallujah is a picture of neglect, won't even be used until next year, and will only serve a fraction of the area's residents.
Ultimately, this is a project that cost 3 times as much as expected, over $100 million.
In his final report to Congress this week, the top American watchdog looking at the money spent rebuilding Iraq has a stark conclusion. $60 billion poured into Iraq with not enough to show for it. Stuart Bowen's report is full of examples, like the Khan Bani Saad prison in Diyala province, left unfinished in 2007 when the area simply got too violent.
What was there was turned over to the Iraqis. They'll never do anything with it. It's just essentially today a pile of rubble, unfinished buildings. $40 million in taxpayer money. Wasted, completely wasted.
There were successes, like a water treatment plant in northern Iraq. But Bowen says his interviews with Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki and other Iraqi officials made clear their disappointment with the rebuilding effort, with many Iraqis still living in poverty and few having reliable electricity or clean water.
As he said, when you spend $55 billion, we ought to have seen more than we see.
Bowen says in too many cases, the U.S. built things the Iraqis just did not want or need. And the blame in part rests with American officials for not doing a better job coordinating. The result? Some $15 million a day spent over 10 years, much of it for nothing. Sagar Meghani, Associated Press, The Pentagon.
And that speaks for itself. That's going to do it for us here at iFIBER 1 News. We want to wish you a great weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday.